Hey man, wanna do some PCP? So, fair warning, before we get into all this, my wonderful hands, they're healing. There's gonna be a lot of rambling in this video before we start actually checking out the console and playing the games, because I have a lot to say about this, and there's a lot of information that you need to know to get why this console was produced and sort of the story behind it. If you don't want to know all that and just want to laugh at haha funny video game console and you're not a pop station stroke China fake nerd like I am, feel free to skip ahead to the me playing the games. With that out of the way, let's get rambling. So this guy, box ain't doing too good. That is because this was in a flood. This is the only one I could find. Leave me alone. These are hard to come by. This one was in a flood. Surprisingly, the only thing that really suffered any casualties was the box. There is no earphone in here. They are lying. There never was any earphone in there. There never was any manual in here either. But yeah, they just sort of continued operation after the flood. It was like up to your ankles, I think. So not everything got flooded, but some stuff did, and this was one of the stuff that did. They very heavily copied the Pop Station box, as you can see. I think they just took the Pop Station logo and got rid of one of the sides of the O. But more about this console itself. This is a PCP station. Not in the branding, but in the actual hardware architecture, which means it's a version of the Pop Station that's a bit more advanced, capable of larger display, better graphics, very, very small bites of synthesized sound, which you'll hear when we start actually playing the games. Nothing super crazy on the scale of Gaoming's Game Voice sound synthesizer chip, or anything that YD did with their sound chips or graphics. Turned it on. See, yeah, that's about the amount of audio you're gonna get out of that. Thanks for the useful demonstration there. This had board design. I don't know who this was made by. I'm not sure, because there were a lot of companies that used the PCP model number prefix. There are two variants of this. There's the PCP-8028, and there's the PCP-8028, and I have the 8028, and the difference between the 8008 and the 8028, there was no 8018, is that, I guess the 2 denotes 2-player, because it's got a funny port on the back here. The 8008 just had this hole and no port in it, because Pop Station. YX did the board design for this, like most Pop Stations of this era. The board is dated 2006. A lot of times YX would do the prototyping or the prototyping and creation of the boards for the companies. The companies would supply the ROM, the companies would supply the shell that it had to go into. The 8008 and the 8009, which is this console's slightly bigger cousin, made by the same company, used the exact same board. And then, the 8028 used the same board as well. There was just no... The header for the controller port was there. There was just no port attached to it. So if you had enough time on your hands, you could, in theory, mod an 8008 or an 8009 to be an 8028. Or there isn't any 8029 that we know of, but because of the fact that the molds are pretty different, it is thought that there was a 2-player version of the 8009. We just don't know what its model number is. It could be 8029, and there's just no record of it on the internet, and I just have to put it into Epitoys, but I don't want to bother with that. There's also the 8063, but that's made by a completely different company and isn't actually a PCP station. Oh great, there's fridge time. Yay. This always happens. It's made by, I don't know what company it's made by. My guess is either Silverhawk or XY, not to be confused with YX. I know it's confusing. Because they're the only two companies that I know of that use the game names that console uses. That console is no 2-player variant, but it does have a hole for controller port on the back here. There's no headings on the board. There's no support for it, as far as I'm aware. I mean, there's support on the ROM, but there's no support for the board. There's no support for it on the board. I think that's just a side effect of they copied the 8008's mold, 8008 or 8028. Copied the mold pretty heavily. The only thing that this needed fixing on this was just needed a speaker replacement. That was it. Yeah. Gao Ming, actually, need a little bit of trivia, didn't do their own board manufacturing. Or did do their own board manufacturing. They didn't outsource it to a company like YX, who I think YX was the only company you could outsource this stuff to. YX did actually make their own consoles occasionally, but it was mostly just design work for other pop station companies. Design or manufacture work for other pop station companies. I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, so Gao Ming, I think that was ultimately one of the factors that did them in. Although I don't blame them for doing it. They had a lot of proprietary stuff. They had the hybrids, they had the Game Voice line, and that, required, I'd assume YX would charge a bit more for that because it's, custom features, not standard pop station stuff on a board. So that might have been one of the things that ultimately did Gao Ming in, along with a certain handheld that I'm not going to name, that made some of their importers, a lot of their importers that bought from them, not want to buy from them anymore. I think that's about all I have to say about this. Without further ado, let's get right into the console itself. And we'll start with the box. This was sold for 10 yuan. I doubt it was 70, because that's too much for a pop station. 10, I think that's a 1 probably. Or just 7, and this is like a circle. It means something, I don't know. They just stole this illustration from the, oh yeah, should mention this. There is no power switch on the top. In fact, I don't think that the arrow's pointing to nothing. They blanked it out. Hold on, I'm going to talk about this first. There is no earphone jack on this console. There is a spot for an earphone jack in the mold. There is no spot on the board. There's no heading for an earphone jack on the board, but you could fit, there's like pins that like nestle an earphone jack in there. This is just filled up. I have a feeling that this was just them taking a mold from something else, some other pop station that did have an earphone jack. I'm not going to say this was a second player controller port because this board is dated 2006, and as far as I'm aware, companies were not using the two 3.5mm jacks, the red and the black ones, for multiplayer controllers anymore. They had mostly adapted this standard, which we'll talk about the annoyances of that when we get to the second player thing, because it's not actually the standard, it just looks like it's the standard. But yeah, console, the port thingy. Plus, for it to be that, it would have to be 2 ports. So I think this was just like, they stole it from a console that did have an audio jack. Plus, as far as I'm aware, the PCP station hardware was not capable of audio jack support. Because that was not something that was natively available on pop stations. You had to sort of manually add that into your console if you were making it. It had to be like part of the ROM and part of the board and stuff. This does not appear to have any support for that. We'll talk about illustration on the top of the box and its inaccuracies to the console, because for one thing, I mean, the headphone jack is here, but this is very obviously just the bottom view of a pop station that is on the pop station box. They might have even added this in here to be consistent with the... I'm not sure. And then, you know, we've got the power switch, which is pointing to nothing, but normally the power switch would be not here. It would be like over here on a pop station, so I'm guessing they've repositioned it to point to the cartridge ejection thing, which is confusing and I don't understand. But yeah, you can see the little buttons that are normally on a pop station on the bottom there. And this is the quote-unquote top view. Also, the back just looks like a pop station. This is just, like, without a doubt, a pop station. Curiously, they don't have bottom view here. They just have the top view again, which I think is how it is on the actual pop station box here. We got the PCP-8028 over here. They did actually steal that printing with the blank tees. My guess is that they very likely took some of the assets from wherever they were storing the assets, because I'm pretty sure a lot of these assets were just like thrown around between pop station companies without any real regard. I think a lot of them were partnered together in some way, shape, or form, because on the 8063's box, you can see the tops. The tees do have tops. They're just black, and you can see that because there's like a little background beneath the letters, and you can see the black tops of the tees a bit. So I think they just forgot to make the tops of the tees white, and then, you know, sort of showed when they reused, when whatever other company did that, reused the stuff. Again, little window, game handle, which, I mean, they are lying because this is on the 8008's box as well, but because this is the 8028, they are not lying in this case. Color display, that is a lie. They just stole that from the pop station box. And earphone, which is also a lie. They stole that from the pop station box. You know, window, you can look at the thing you're getting. Back on the box here, we got Thunderbolt, Airplane, Super Mario, NONSUCH, Fly Racing, which I don't think there was ever actually a game called NONSUCH Fly Racing for the PCP station hardware or the pop station hardware in general. As far as I am aware, they do mean it's NONSUCH Racing without the fly, because that is not listed on the back here. And then we got, you know, obviously Street Overlord, good friend Street Overlord, and CHANTICLEER Hegemony. Just the generic function keys manual, which, as far as I'm aware, is also taken from the back of the pop station console, because they talk about the triangle and square keys, which are A and B, and then X and Y as well on this unit for some reason. Don't know why they didn't just go with A, B, and A, B, but, you know, whatever. I mean, a lot of pop stations do get the A, B, X, Y treatment for the 4 buttons. You know, make sure the unit is turned off. I'm not sure if this typo is here on the original pop station box. I'm going to go get the original pop station box, actually, so we can do a bit of a comparison. Right, I'm back. This thing was ridiculous for me to get. It's also got a bit of a weird box due to importer stuff, but looks to be the same. It looks like function key manual is basically identical, so is the battery. So I'm not sure if this typo is present on the original box, because this is an import box. But might have just been a result of them copying the, because it's not here, but it is here. Might have been a result of the import box. I'm not sure. We got the big Made in China text here. Please retain this important information. Looks to be like they copied this text almost entirely. Let's say optional games up here too, yeah. This is basically a direct copy of the pop station box, more or less. Here we go, we got the top view here, which, and then we have we got the top view, which does have the power switch and the little, you know, almost the exact same flip it around. Things are never easy when it's a pop station. There you go. Ooh. Looks like they've actually put the earphone about where the power switch is. Unless it's the same spot on the... Yeah, it is. Flipped it around. No, they didn't, because this is... So this does use the rear view bottom... It does use the top view illustration. They replaced power switch with earphone. And then they moved power switch over here. And then they used a different earphone jack illustration. And different text. The mysteries of pop stations, man. Right, that's enough of the box. A little side note, the pop station, or the PCP station, was very limited by its game library. Not many games were ported over to the more advanced hardware. So, that was one of the few downsides. I think the games on the back of that were about the extent of what you got. Alright, let's try old classic NONSUCH racing here. I do like that they have managed to make this a 0 somehow. I'm going to zoom out a bit more so you can see the console in its entirety. Focus. We're going to turn the backlight on. What's funny is these are like direct holes through to the... zoom out a bit here. These are direct holes to the back of the console. This one battery is only used for the backlight. If you take it out, the console still functions, but the backlight doesn't. But then, curiously, if you take these two batteries out, neither the console nor the backlight functions. The thing is wired weirdly. The battery current goes through the speakers for some reason. It's very weird. It's very, very strange. Not typical pop station wiring. Very confusing. And no, they did not give you screws here. They're meant to supply your own screws. These are also direct holes to the console. There's only one speaker here though. See if you can spot it, huh? Give you a hint. It's this one. Anyways, back to pop stationing. Turn the backlight on here. Focus. There we go. Ready to play some NONSUCH racing. Yes, the buttons were scratched like this when I got it. Oh, I do want to talk about how they love pop stations where they don't give you the default game with the console. It's City Fighter, of course it is. One weird thing about the PCP station hardware is that it will constantly play the game theme over and over and over again until you start, instead of just playing it once and then going into the demo with the sound effects. It's just playing music throughout the entirety of the demo. Zoom in a bit. Focus a bit. There we go. I'm going to actually elevate this a little bit so the resolution is a bit better. I'm going to put it on top of some pop station boxes. There we go. That's not going to be hard for me to play at all. Right. Right. Okay, let's start. I think I'm about tired of hearing that tune. Some sound. Here we go. Start. It's the sort of simpler racing game. There you go. There's the synthesized sound that you hear. I think we can shift it to high gear. Oh, there we go. Aside from the sort of simpler graphics, it is just pop station racing. You get to the end before the time runs out. It's pop station racing, y'all know it. I'm bad at it. Oh, we're turning. Can't say which direction that is, but we were turning a direction there. Very weird road graphic. I guess it is to accommodate for the turns, but I feel like I could have done that in a better... Oh. Okay, I think I might have gotten that because the timer reset. I think we've moved on to I think I might have gotten that because the timer reset. We moved on to the next level. I'm at an incredible 250 miles per hour. Going back up, I hit something. This is a version of pop station racing I'm actually good at somewhat, or I can actually beat. Nope. Guess I can't. Either that or I crashed and that was the crash noise. And I could have beaten the game, but I didn't. Alright. We've got Thunderbolt Airplane next. I don't have all the games for this, but if I do get the other games, I will talk about them on a little addendum, or if I do get them up, it'll probably be in another console that has those games, so I'll talk about them in that console's episode. Yeah. This one's great, because you gotta position the cartridge right. This is the one that came in the console, as far as I'm aware, so it's a bit finicky. There you go, I think we got it. Thunderbolt Airplane, the Circuseers, or whatever Ashens said. I think it was that. Start. Video gaming, right. We can shoot at the guy. It's Thunderbolt Airplane, you've seen it before. Probably. You've probably seen it before. I like how we've just got this, like, cartoon fighter plane sort of illustration, and then hyper-realistic Boeing 737. I do like how the points and level alternate. That's neat. Yeah. Well, I beat it. Barely. There's like rounds or whatever. I don't have the manual. This console was never shipped with a manual, like, from the factory. It didn't like get destroyed in the flood. They just did not give you a manual. Just expected to figure. But like second pass, I can shoot like third rank torpedo, whatever. I'm too lazy to look up the manual for this right now. I actually just did like a full reading of it because it was funny, haha. That's enough Thunderbolt Airplane for today. And probably forever. Now, here's what you've all been waiting for. CHANTICLEER Hegemony. Hell yeah. Got it with the console. I was hoping that I'd get one that had this, and I was not disappointed. Right, CHANTICLEER Hegemony. Here we go. Reset. Man, they really only got a couple of songs for this, huh? Start. That was sound. Yeah. It's, yeah. Hank Cyclone versus Eddie Superior, if I recall. Top 10 video game of the year. Game of the fucking year. I'm winning. I'm, for some reason, very good at this. It's just mash up and mash. Whatever the A button is on this thing. It's B because fuck you, apparently. Maybe it is A. Oh, it is A. Sometimes you just get locked at this, like, mash up at the top of the arena. It's very weird. This game operates on strange principles. That was the PCP station. Oh, that was not what I meant to do. I meant to turn the backlight off. That's a separate switch because pop station, or rather PCP station. Here's a different color display illustration, which I find funny. So now time to talk about the two-player thing. You get a controller. It's not very good. I have seen definitely much better pop station controllers. Buttons are very mushy. This is a player 2 controller, which means it should have the standard player 2 controller mapping, but no, it has 3 pins for some fucked up reason. 6 pins, 3 sets of pins. Don't know why I said 3 pins. Also, what's great is that the, I was gonna say the buttons are in the wrong order when compared to the console, but they aren't. For some reason I thought they were. But yeah, so, console, you know, you plug it in the port. It doesn't hold very well. It's not the greatest. But yeah, non-standard controller port thing. It looks like the standard controller port. You can plug it into a console that supports the standard controller port. It will not work. You can plug a standard controller into this console. It will not work. Why? That is beyond me. Yeah, neat little console, neat little pop station thingy. Very cool. It survived a flood, so props to it for doing that. That's about all I have to say about it.